Well, hello everyone, this is Rick Passek, the Fly Fish Fanatic, and welcome to another edition of On the Bench with Sport Fishing on the Fly. Today we will be tying my Squabbit leech. I use this primarily for bull trout. Have caught other fish with it, large rainbows in lakes and in rivers, but this is definitely a bull trout pattern, one I've used for quite a few years, on and off with different materials over the years, but this is the one that has been doing really well for me as of late. So, alrighty, let's get tying. So for the thread, I'll be using some Semperfli Nano Silk in white. For the tail, I'll be using some white rabbit zonker. For the body, I'll be using the new Mobster Chenille in white. And some red Flashabou. And some of the new Semperfli Synthetic King Marabou. Alrighty, pretty simple fly. And the hook in the vise today is an Arex SA220 streamer, size 4. Tie these in a 0, a 4, and a 6. 0, 2, 4 to 6, sorry. 2 and 4 being the most popular sizes. So, just going to start my thread, come down to the bend. Don't go past the bend. You don't want this tail to be sitting down. I like putting just a little bit of a bump. I put my finger right there and then just kind of wrap right up against my finger. Just a little bit of a bump. Now, if you want to and create a little bit of a hot spot, you could put that in red or orange. So now I'm going to figure out the length I need. I've already cut my zonker into my V, so I've got the nice hair flowing. I want this fairly long, probably 2 times the body length past, so about there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is wet my fingers a bit, especially my thumb, and just give that a split. Split that hair, just so you're not tying all the hair down. Okay. Then I'm actually going to take this and let it wrap underneath a little bit, because as I pull it up and over, it'll roll around. Okay. Just going to like this a little bit more just to make sure this material's out of the way. And then I'm pulling fairly tight. That's why you want to use a good GSP, a good nano silk. Really tighten that down. And I want to make sure I tighten it down right to that bump that I got there. It'll help hold it up and help from having it foul. So now I'm going to go in front, right up against it. Okay, and then I'm going to roughly figure what my length is going to be once it's up and in and right about there. So I'm just going to turn this and I'm going to make a little point. So I'm cutting on from both sides on an angle. And what this will do is it'll give you a point, but it'll also prep your next piece, right? Let's see if I can. It'll prep your next piece for the next one. So then I just make sure that just stays back, out of my way. Again, I come forward and back just to make sure there's thread on for the Mobster Chenille. Then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go and I'm going to pull off some of the outer fibers until I expose that center core. And I'm going to catch in that center core right back to that bunny, that rabbit strip. Right back and make sure it's nicely tightened in. Go all the way forward. 4, 5 wraps. And you see how the bead is still a little bit, or the cone head is still a little bit loose there, right? Still a little bit loose. It's because I'm not all the way forward on purpose. I would have done one more if that's where I was ending, but I'm not ending there. I want a little bit of room for that marabou and stuff that's still coming in. So now I'm going to take this, I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm going to have it so this actually gets pulled right in underneath. Pulls that right in under that, into that cone head. Okay, Just going to take my brush, just make sure it's brushed out. Okay. Now a couple of strands of your red flash, 2 to 3 strands max, no more. And I'll put it down one side here. Now this can be a bit of a challenge on this point here because it always wants to roll itself in just like that. So you have to, every turn you have to kind of make sure you're repositioning it where you want it. Because it always wants to roll itself around because it's going in that cone, right? So then I'll just take the other pieces here and I'll bring them across. So I've got 3 down one side and 3 down the other. Sometimes this gets a little unruly, but it's not too big of a deal. So there's my 3 down one side, my 3 down your side. And this is give or take. If they're not perfect, it's not a huge deal. And just slick those back just so they stay back out of your way. And you don't want them any longer than the tail. If they're a little bit too long, just give them a little snip. And that one is going to be definitely too long, so I'm going to give that one a snip. Don't worry about it if it's kind of laying around like that. So then I'm going to take my King Marabou. This is a brand new product. Really like this stuff. The synthetic marabous that they came out with, but irrelevant. This is what this will do is first of all, it's going to hide your tie-in point from everything, but it's also going to give you that really really cool looking collar, right? More movement in the fly. So usually 8 to 10 turns, depending what you can get in without making it look too silly behind the eye. And I'll take my brush and I'll just make sure it's not caught every second or third turn. And make sure I'm stroking back that material every single time. And one more. There we go. Just tie that off. You can actually probably do a couple more right up against that cone to tighten that up. Just gonna make sure I'm not trapping any with my fingers there. Yeah, there we go. I've tightened up that cone a bit. Not a huge deal if your cone's not super tight, but if you can do it, might as well. So 3 or 4 turns in front, on top, sorry, and then some turns in front, right up against that cone. Nip off your excess. Take some head cement. We'll cement this off, but then we're going to brush this out a bit, that King Marabou, and you'll see it really fluffs up and it just looks really cool. It actually amalgamates right in. You almost can't tell that it's a different material than the rabbit zonker. There we go. So I'm just going to close my bottle so it doesn't end up all over the table. Now I'm going to take a barbecue brush and I'm just going to break those marabou fibers. Just want them to break, and they make it look so much better. Okay, now these ones here, I'm just going to make sure they're down one side and that's down the other side. Yep. Go. And again, this Flashabou, it's going to lay where it wants to lay once it gets in the water. So it's not a humongous deal if it's a little bit off, but So just give that a brush out. And then what I like to do is I like to go on the bottom here, move my flash out of the way. Just going to move right out of the way for a minute. Right out of the way. This flash ended up a little bit on the bottom, but it's not a big deal. And then I'm just going to cut out some of that king marabou that's right on the bottom, just so it exposes that mobster chenille a bit better. And that's all she wrote. So now I'm just going to one final brush so you guys can see what it looks like. Get those out of the way, and there you go. There's your finished fly. All done. It like I said, this is my go-to for bull trout. And white has always been my go-to for bullies. I absolutely love white, and with a little bit of red in it, just a tad of red. I don't tie very many other color combinations for bull trout. Odd time I'll do a blue black, but this is the absolute go-to for me. So I'll actually move that forward so you guys can see the whole fly. So it's 4 inches long. Sometimes I'll do them a little longer. Sometimes I'll do a little shorter. It depends. Like if I'm doing this on a size 1, it would probably be 1 inch longer. But yeah, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. And thanks for tuning in to another edition of On the Bench with Sport Fishing on the Fly. Challenge, everyone.